Gloria Masters says, noticed and trust children's behavior over their words. That is where the truth lies. Today, Gloria Masters joins us once again, and we're so honored to discuss her newest book, Keeping Kids Safe, a roadmap for parents, teachers, and others. This is Gloria's third book, her memoir, which we've spoken to before, and we will have all of these links to everything of Gloria's in the body of this video. On Angel's Wings, My Flight from Trauma to Grace details 16 years of child sex trafficking. Her second book is for survivors, Flight Path to Healing, a guide for child sexual abuse, CSA survivors. Now, warriors, the books are available. Go to gloriamasters.com. Also, Amazon, you have no excuse. We are urging all of you, support Gloria. Gloria is also the CEO, founder of Handing the Shame Back, Foundation, and released the Global Hand Signal for Children back in 2016. We're going to talk about all of this. Gloria, welcome back to the Warriors.
Thank you, Lynn. So lovely to be here.
You know, I want to put out a little warning for those who might get upset that we'll be discussing subjects that are uncomfortable, child sex trafficking, exploitation, and I'm just going to leave it at that. But people should know that we are going to be sharing truths and realities and what's happening in the world today. You know, it is so necessary. Gloria, I don't want to tell your story. Your story is for you to tell. So I want to start with, what do you want to share about yourself, childhood, or anything before we talk about the new book?
Yeah, look, I think what I'm really grateful for, Lynn, is that, I managed to survive 16 years of child sex trafficking, and this was at the hands of my father to various extended family members and then wider groups, including nightclubs, gangs, etc., within New Zealand. Now, the horror and the twist to that story is that my grandmother was the one who trained me in how to be the best child sex worker I could be. So there were many facets to that, and including over 100 SAMS material being released in video and picture format, and leased out of nightclubs, etc. So I can talk about it quite succinctly because I'm healed. That's what I'm grateful for, because what I'm now able to do is be a leading author and speaker across the world. A, because I have lived experience and I've emerged. B, because I am an ex-teacher, I am a survivor, I am an ex-child psychotherapist, and I'm also a mother. So who better to write a guide or a roadmap for parents and teachers around this topic?
You know, Gloria, I have to admit, first of all, you're one of the biggest warriors I know, and your story haunts me. You know, your grandmother grooming you, and it is called familial trafficking. And in 2024, we have an escalation, not only where I am here in New York City, around the world, where you are, where I am. Um, I have to ask you, how did you find this? I'm always very careful talking to survivors and victims, just because I want to be very protective of everybody, not ever be exploiting them, because I see a lot of that going on. I call it a dog and pony show. I don't do that. You know, how are you able, Gloria, with all you've been through? Um, I say the healing process is an ongoing process, a lifelong process. How are you able to be so strong and continually talk about this, share your very, personal, intimate story? Um, just how are you able to do that?
Well, I guess to actually have survived what I did, I've been told several times by uh, so-called experts in this type of pathology across the world, there's not many people that would have survived those 16 years, because although the trauma was defined as child sexual abuse and trafficking, there was a lot of physical abuse. And the worst for me in all of it, to be honest, Lynn, was a psychological torture, and I don't use that lightly. So for me to have survived, I'm highly unusual. So when you then pivot to me as the adult now, look, it's taken decades. It doesn't mean at times I don't get triggered, but I'm here for a purpose. And I think if I survived that, I always knew if I made it through alive, I could survive anything. And I guess I'm here to help the world in this space because I have lived experience, and I am able to show a way through. And I guess for me, partly why I reached out this time, Lynn, was because beautiful survivors watching, hello, I see you and stand with you. I think it's time though now, Lynn, to actually do something about stopping this or mitigating this ever happening again. So it's time for tools and techniques to be provided to the caregivers in the world, who are the parents, who are the teachers, who are the grandmas, who are frontline workers across our globe. So that's why I wrote this book. And it's already been looked at by the Fijian government, the Australian government. I'm reaching out to, in the New Zealand government, have a copy. But one award I've been given has said every parent and every school in our country should have a copy. So here it is, Lynn. It's keeping kids safe, and it's a roadmap for parents, teachers, and others.
We have to have that in every school in the United States as well. We have to have it in every school across the
Yeah.
globe. And I feel like, Gloria, not I feel like, I know for a fact from the work I do, it's becoming, which is so horrible and heartbreaking to me. There's so much sexual, whether it's content, everything online, uh, on television, in movies. Um, I feel like people are almost becoming habituated as this escalation of this, CSAM, child sexual abuse material, again in 2024, is escalating. We just had a new report about the United States, and it's in the tens of millions, a year, escalating. We have a duty, and that is why keeping kids safe, I don't want to say easy. I don't. But it is easy for people to buy a copy of this book, and then they don't have to worry about certain things. They're going to know what to say or what to look for, the indicators. Um, let's wake everybody up, Gloria. Let's start with, what do you want to start with about the book? Start telling us about the book, because I realize people want easy tips all the time, or easy to start out
Yep.
with conversation,
Yeah,
or
of
else they
course.
close their eyes or they close the door and
Yeah.
walk away. So I'm like,
Yeah.
what's easy to get started with everybody?
Okay. Well, first up, first question: if not you, then who? So let that sink in, everyone. At what point are we going to say, "Oh, my child is safe, but your next door neighbours may not be"? So I just want to start with that question as we launch. Okay, the easiest thing for me to share is this global hand signal: up, thumb across, palm down. Now, this universal sign was released last year in June, and it's for under 16s to use to show if they're being abused or not safe. Since that release, I've had 3 different people approach me from different parts of the world, thanking me and saying, because of you, I recognised the sign and I was able to help. Now, for people watching, a simple thing might be, you don't have to go in and snatch the child. If you're not confident, simply take a photo. Take a photo of the number plate. Do something. Grab another adult and say, I'm seeing this. Can you help me? We know that this has happened. We've even heard of it in a Wendy's restaurant in the States. Amazing young woman in her 30s decided for once not to do the drive-through. Stopped in, sat down and did the mindful eating you and I hear about, Lynn, but we never do. and she just happened to be absorbing and noticing, and she saw a girl across from her sitting with what she thought was her father, and the girl was furtively doing this while her father was looking at his phone and eating. The girl So this woman looked at her and went, "For real?" And this girl went, "Yes," and kept doing this. So she thought, right, got up, went round the corner, rang the police, said, "What do I do?" They said, "You stay there, but you keep the dad there, keep them there. You get other people in the restaurant involved." So she went to a table behind her, got two young men. They must have been working, doing some roadworks nearby. She went up, she said, "Don't make a scene, I need help. Police are on their way, this kid's doing this. She's been trafficked, or she's not safe, sexually not safe." So she said, "If you can contain him, I'm going to grab that kid." And she did.
Wow.
So one life was saved. Lynn, that's not difficult. But the other thing I want to raise is this for you beautiful parents out there and teachers who I know everyone does their best. If you had a toolkit, if you had a way to become informed so you know what to do if a child discloses, or to what type of grooming there is out there, or the types of sexual abuse there are, because people think, oh, it's just child sexual abuse. No, it's not. There's about 8 different types. There's intrafamilial, there's sibling, there's trafficking, there's CSAMs, there's satanic, there's online. There's so many different types. People don't even know. So I guess knowledge is power. And I think if even using that signal is helpful. But here's another quick tip. As a parent in your family, have a family meeting, get the kids together, make it pizza night, and say, right, we're going to have a vote. What's an emoji we can use? The kids vote on an emoji. The output of that, the outcome of that, meaning that the next time children are away from home, the second a parent or adult sees that come through, they're in the car and they're getting that kid from wherever they are. No questions asked, no words needed. That means help, I'm in danger, get me, save me, rescue me.
And that, Gloria, that's such a simple take action that a family,
Hundreds in the book. Yep.
just just that alone. I talk a lot about family digital partnerships. Like, we have to come together as the family unit, including, the grandmas, the grandpas, also cousins, and start educating like that. I love that you put this in the book, because people are always like, well, what can I do? So the book
So,
is perfect, keeping kids safe, giving tips. What are some other tips or
oh,
stories you want to share about the book? I mean, I just love this. I actually ordered the book. I didn't get it yet, in full disclosure, but I did order it. So
I don't
share
think you'll
some more.
regret it, Lynn. I think we'll be doing more on this. So look, what's another one? I'll give you 300. But another simple one is this. Again, family night, pizza night. Get the kids to draw a range of pictures. 1, I'm happy, things are great. 2, I'm okay, things are okay. 3, stop, drop, help, as in stop, drop, roll, which is the
Right.
fireman's rescue code. But if ever the parents are having a party or people around and there's people everywhere, and a child comes up and shoves that picture that the family are aware of as their help picture, could be as simple as a rock, it could be an apple. The minute, again, because sometimes in situations adults don't know what to do, and if a child's at you saying, "Mom, mom, mom," or "Dad, dad, dad," go away, I'm talking. We're all guilty of that, yeah? But the minute you see the picture, the child has drawn a picture of, an apple or a tree, from your family night that means, I need you, Dad, and I need you right now. So then the father can say, "Oh, hey guys, just give me a minute," takes the child to another room and says, "What's up?" The child might then be able to say, "Hey, so-and-so's son or daughter, 14 years old, wants me to do stuff and I'm really uncomfortable." Great, we've stopped that. Now, as you know, Lynn, if we can keep it quick, cognitive, practical, people will use it.
Right. I like that. I'm glad, Gloria, you just brought that up, that example of the child, because there's a recent report out of the UK where over 90% of sexual material is self generated by the children themselves. What do you want to share or say about that? I was actually shocked. I mean, I knew it was high, but it said upwards of 90%. And I thought, oh my goodness. And it also included from the Internet Watch Foundation out of the UK, children as young as 3 years old creating content. And I kept thinking, Gloria, how does a 3-year-old know what to do unless an older sibling or somebody is
Yes.
directing them? What do you have to say about all this? Because it's just shocking.
Yeah, well, you know the Saturn app, and there's a lot of apps out there which are pretty scary. I bet there's 10 more since I first wrote the book. To be fair, but what I'm not a doubting Thomas, but I would say this: no child under the age of 10, in my humble opinion, would even know how to generate or even know or even think like that. So there's grooming going on. Now, we don't know how the grooming happens, but I'll tell you this about grooming that your audience may not know. What happens online is that your 8-year-old may think they're playing a game with another 8-year-old in another street or another state. No, they're not. There could be a 42-year-old male or female saying, oh, it's really hot. How about you take off your shirt? Oh my gosh, you've got such a good chest. Can you take a photo and send it? Then by the time a child has become used to doing that, the grooming has begun, but it can get very ugly very fast, as in, how old is your sister? Oh, she's 3. Oh, can you go in and take a photo of her and get her to look really sexy, you know? And so what children do is they're either threatened, bribed, or manipulated into doing this. So I don't think really that a 3-year-old has the cognitional capability, but I do know that there are lots of threats out there. And the other thing I want your audience to know is this: grooming isn't a one and done. Grooming is not with one group. Grooming consists or occurs over 4 different groups everywhere. People could be forgiven for thinking the biggest grooming is with the child. I'm here to say no. The biggest grooming that occurs across the world is with the parents. G'day, mate. You take the missus away for the weekend, I'll have the kids. There's so much of that that's going on. Parents are conditioned, or I really like that that you invited us for dinner, and as a thank you, we'll babysit while you guys go out. Now, there's a lot of this grooming, or it can be as simple as the parents feeling, oh, I feel really good around this person, and oh, they're kind of uncle to my kids now. Stop. Why? Why would someone that you've only relatively new in your life be someone that you want involved in your child's life so closely? I think we have to be more alert and less trusting. And put it this way: are you going to let someone drive your brand new car easily? Lynn, the answer, of course, is no.
Right.
Why are you letting people into your house having access to your children? It's time for us to stop imagining we're living in some wonderfully safe environment, because the reality is, for all the high number of children that are being abused daily, and in New Zealand it's 1 in 3 girls and 1 in 5 boys by the time they're 16, and the silence is deafening. The silence is deafening. And yet, when you consider the stats in the States, they won't be actually vastly different, Lynn, because they're hugely underreported.
Yes. Yes. Why? I always ask this question. I'm going to ask you though, Gloria. Like, I don't understand. You pointed out you wouldn't let somebody easily drive your new car. Why is everybody so lax with the children, with the teens? I'm not understanding it, because that's what I do here in New York and across our country. Just educate about safety. Um, People don't even realize the phone that most children have. That is where the grooming is happening. That is where they're seeing these videos. Why do you think there's such pushback on that because to me, my children are older. They're all in their 30s now, but I would be all over this. Like, oh, I need to learn more or tell me more. Or I know it's dark and ugly. I get it, all of this. But don't you think the parents and the guardians would automatically want to jump up and do everything in their power to protect our children? This is the part I don't understand.
So circle back to what I said earlier about grooming. Who is the biggest group being groomed? Parents. The grooming occurs from our society to our community, to other parents, to the children themselves, to their peer group. But it all begins at the top. Think about it. It's really important your child has a phone so that if they're ever in trouble, they can contact you. But it's actually even better if they have a way of messaging you instantly. Can you see how the grooming begins? So when you say, why are parents so lax? Because they're thinking, no, it's really important my kids have a phone. Is it though? Or is it actually more harmful now? So we've got pushback from several different groups when you think about it, but I think by far it's quite a complex question, but the other aspect, in my opinion, is simply this. What do people want generally? Most of the population want to be liked. Would you agree?
Yes, I would agree.
There's a lack of confidence in most people, or they get their goodies from being affirmed or recognised or appreciated. Yeah, that's the human condition. Now, if everyone in your peer group is a parent or a grandparent or a young parent is saying, oh, you've got to try this. This is really good. And I think the kids need to have access to that. Then along with all of that, you're kind of going to fall into line as well. But I don't know, Lynn. I don't think there is one specific answer, but I do know that behind all of this is some grooming, because every time a new purchase is made, there's freebies attached, and to parents who aren't quite sure of whether or not their parenting measures up, because we're a very competitive breed, humans, they will follow the crowd.
Well said, Gloria. The book is Keeping Kids Safe, a roadmap for parents, teachers, and others, gloriamasters.com. Now, Gloria, here's the thing, though. I work even with a company here in the States called gabb, Gabb, and I get nothing from it. I just like their product. They have what looks just like an iPhone, just like, the Apple Watch, but it has no internet access. In other words, you can program in, mom's number, grandma's number, as a way of communication, because we have studies that say the children, if they don't have phones, and especially middle school and high school kids, it does more psychological damage. They're not part of the crowd type of thing. So even providing these safeguards we have, features and filters, I even get pushback for teaching how to do that. Just put some safety features and filters. People really don't realize, Gloria, that they really still think of, at least here, trafficking as that white van. They don't understand that it's on the devices. They don't understand the kids are, gaming, especially boys. And it is our duty. Would you agree with me, if you buy one of these devices for your child, that you do everything in your power to put on the safety features and filters for the devices?
Look, I would think that would be a prerequisite, but for most people, when you think about it, most people don't want to know about the ugly stuff because it's distressing, and I call it cognitive dissonance. And the reality being, for those that don't know, it's the mental state that occurs when something that is not in your ethics or value system, and you're meant to believe it, so you don't, because it's too hard to believe or accept. And I think this is where this sits. It's a little bit like child infanticide. We lead the world in that in New Zealand. We lead the world in young male suicide. most of that is not usually discussed because people have this cognitive dissonance, which is, I couldn't comprehend of doing it. How could anyone else? I don't really believe it. I don't believe the stats. So, Lynn, there's a little bit of an answer as well. People don't think it could be happening because they can't comprehend that it would. But I will say this, every time there is that reaction, and by the way, I don't think we've got the luxury of thinking like that anymore. We don't
Right.
have the luxury. But every time people think that way, they're giving a hall pass or a free pass to the abusers, the groomers, the enablers, and the gatekeepers, because those groups surround the person doing the abusing.
And that is the groundwork of what we do at the Warriors, just raising this awareness
Yeah.
of this, that the predators are winning because they're always 10 steps ahead. They go wherever the children are. People have to realize this. Give me some thoughts. What are your thoughts about AI, artificial intelligence? I frankly, as one, am just completely scared, which is a word I don't use with myself, because tech experts I work with tell me this is not going to be good. What can you share with us about AI?
Look, from my understanding, it's very, very scary because everything's auto generated. And the reality is, as this becomes bigger and more accessible, all people have to do is press a button. So if you think about it, the online groomers just have it at their fingertips. I think we haven't seen anything yet. To me, this is the biggest pandemic of our time. This is our biggest global crisis of all time. We know ex-police detectives and criminal investigators are so concerned about the silence around all of it. And we know that it's across all social levels and stratospheres, socioeconomic, gender. There's a myth that women don't abuse. Actually, we now know that a third or even more now are female abusers. So come on, people, it's time to stop talking about what happened and start taking some action.
I mean, I agree wholeheartedly. I believe we live in a different world today, Gloria. Like we
Yes,
just
yeah,
we just have to talk about these things. It's the
yeah,
reality.
yeah.
And like
We
and,
don't
and
have the luxury of not.
exactly what you said before, we just have to be open and honest about it. Age appropriate with the kids, but that is why your book is so excellent with all of this. To give us these tips or get over, the hard conversation. I have parents say to me, I can't talk about pornography because then they'll go look for it. I'm like, they're already seeing it because of the algorithms or their friends show it to them. And it's so available, online. And as I point out, a child could be looking, researching something, and by the third or fourth, the algorithms again will direct them because we know big tech is, I'm sorry, loving all of this. There's no big tech accountability. There's no calling them to task. There's no anything. As a matter of fact, Gloria, 2 days from now, we have a big congressional hearing on Capitol Hill. Now, we've been through this before about 2.5 years ago, and nothing came of it, where we have Twitter, which is now X, Facebook, Discord, which is a messaging app, YouTube, they all come, the
Yeah,
CEOs, but then nothing ever comes of it. Everybody
no.
sits around, this is terrible, this is awful, this is bad, you know, nothing ever happens. So I don't even have high hopes, which is a very negative attitude, but I've been through this before, of them taking any kind of action to increase safety online. And what I don't understand, Gloria, there is censorship online. I think we'll both agree to that for certain people or subjects, topics, but they don't censor this child sexual abuse material. See, that's what I don't get at all, except unfortunately to say, what makes money.
I was just going to say it's a money spinner. And the other thing I would say is with the work I do, and I'm sure you found it or experienced it, if not yourself, with other guests, I am constantly being hacked, attacked, channel trying to be taken down, all my work across all social media and a shadow ban, you name it. And the
Yes.
point is, because I'm a truth teller and I'll never stop. So the point being, they will give credence and allow all of that horror to occur. But someone like me, who's actually genuinely trying to help the world, ends up, your content is disturbing. Really? What about the child
Well,
sexual abuse images? And yeah,
the truth is disturbing.
yeah,
The truth is shocking. The truth that this is allowed, um, that you so graciously have been sharing your story to help others should be something that we applaud and want to use as education. Um, what are you working on now? Anything you can? I mean, I know you're working on all of this and constantly
mm,
working every day, um,
yeah.
educating everybody. You have a fourth book in the works, or
Yes, I do. What I'm trying to do though is solidify some of what I've done. But can I just give you a little, your viewers, some idea of what else is in this book, because I think it's going to help.
absolutely,
So
absolutely.
within each chapter, there's 10 parts to the book. We look at child sexual abuse, what it actually is. We look at grooming, what it actually is. We look at online sexual abuse, a huge thing. Lynn, you're across all of that. I then do go into child sex trafficking because children are being trafficked from their own homes. I just interviewed Paul Hutchinson, executive producer of the Sound of Freedom movie, and we had quite a dialogue about this. Uh, I give parents a chapter on symptoms of abuse. It's not always what you think. Then I have tools for adults, tools for children. This is not a book for children to read. This is a book for parents to read and then give your children the tools. What to do? A child discloses abuse, the impact on children, the impact on parents, and then you design your roadmap. But the beauty of this is it's very practical behavioural work. At the end of each of those sections, you're going to love this, Lynn, is a checklist. Yes, you heard it here.
Perfect.
So all you have to do is go through, read it, 3 or 4 pages. I'm not a big believer in content for content's sake. Let's just give the what you need, and you tick what part of the checklist you're going to follow up with now. You don't even have to read all of it. Go to the section that interests you the most to start. Go to grooming. Find out the 4 different levels. Find out how it's done. Find out what to look out for. Parents, be aware.
Yeah.
If you're being flattered a bit, possibly being groomed, I think eyes wide open now. We don't have the luxury. And again, I'll end with, if not you, then who?
I love that line. I think I may steal it, but I'll give you credit, Gloria. Um, I will definitely give you credit. I first of all, I want to say to you, I want them to read the entire book. I don't want them to just go to a chapter. It is necessary, and not read it once. We got to go over and over and over, because that's how I do things. I learn something new every time I read something over and over and over again. I made your book, Keeping Kids Safe, our January book of the month at Lynn's
Oh,
Warriors. So we have that, of course. And I'm also going to be, I'm just behind on everything, Gloria. I will be getting for all of my friends with children copies of the book, because it is a necessary. I provide resources, you know, uh, because then they pass it on. I believe it's like it'll snowball. I'm a great believer, if we just help one a day, or wake up one a day, or educate one a day, it will snowball. And that's how we have to think of all of this, Gloria, because it is large and overwhelming. And right now I'm working on something. We have the Super Bowl, which everybody in the United States puts their big football game every February. This is all
yeah,
they care about. If they put this kind of attention on what we're talking about, we could really clean a lot of this up.
we could
Um,
change the world.
we could change absolutely something every year when it comes, we start rallying for, like, the attention should be on this CSAM.
Yes.
But Apple is sponsoring the halftime show, and Apple is allowing CSAM on their iCloud. So we just started the campaign today, late last night, calling out Apple. This is the Super Bowl in the United States, the biggest attended, sports event, hundreds of thousands of people. And we're going to get going on that. That should not be allowed. That has to be brought to the public's attention. Um, Gloria, finish us up with something that you want everybody to know besides buying the book, being aware of gloriamasters.com, everybody, because you have your other books there. You've got, so much material that I want people to read. It's there. It's free even on the website. Look at the material. Finish us up with a just something you want everybody to know.
Okay, I know what I'll do. I'm going to go here. Students who are loved at home come to school to learn. Students who aren't come to school to be loved. Nicholas Ferroni. And I say that because as a child, when I was being trafficked and horrendously abused, I was out of control and I couldn't retain information because I was in trauma response mode. All I'm saying to parents and teachers is this: if a child shows you through their behaviour that something's off, start noticing that. It's always telling you something. Now, for me, it was out of control, bigger than being hurt, attention seeking, loud, stealing food so I could eat, being in trouble, stealing money, doing anything I could to get attention because the child was screaming for help. Had I had this, someone might have seen it. Children don't speak. That's an adult construct. Children show us through what they do, so turn that off. Look at behaviour. Your child or your nephew or your niece may show you by withdrawing completely. So that's my gift today. My parting gift is this: stop listening and start observing. Behaviour shows us everything. That's how they communicate. That's their number one tool.
Excellent. My wheels are just spinning with that, Gloria. Your information is just so easy to absorb. At least, I think this and just ready to be shared. That is
Yes.
excellent. Just look at the behavior. Just look at the behavior.
If,
I'm even
do,
breaking it down further. I'm like, just look at the behavior.
Yeah, exactly. Look, it's not rocket science, and I'm very grateful. And you'll love this as well. I've come up with a lot of different quotes, but the more silence around this, the less children can speak.
Well, Gloria Masters, you are a beautiful warrior. God bless you. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Everybody, the website again, gloriamasters.com. I'm urging all of you to purchase this book, Keeping Kids Safe, a roadmap for parents, teachers, and others, as well as Gloria's other books. You all need to get on top of this to understand indicators, behaviors, as Gloria just pointed out. You know what? You are, Gloria, just a tremendous warrior. I want to thank you for educating us, keeping on this, being with us, and just sharing your life with us and your knowledge. And you are just a wonderful warrior. And I hope we get to speak again. I know we'll get to speak again soon. I don't want to say hope.
I know.
We will get to speak. I know, because we have to go through your book. As a matter of fact, we might as well. We should start doing like maybe take one chapter and
Yes.
and expand on that. And I
Yeah.
think so. I'll talk to you about that. I think this is a good way
Yep.
to open it up. And I would like to
Yep.
do like a series, one
Yes.
chapter at a time.
I
So
think we should. And one final thing,
sure.
unfortunately, I thought I had the title, but someone else has written a book by the same title. But just know mine's very striking. Do you like my cover?
Yes,
Isn't that powerful? The GPS.
yes, yes, I do. Well, you know what? No, it's your book, Keeping Kids Safe. It's your title, it's your book. We're going to start exploding that all around, not only the United States, all around the world, and make everybody aware. Gloria Masters, gloriamasters.com. Gloria, thank you. We will speak again soon.
Thanks, Lynn. Much love to you.